Imagine a high-tech vault where you store your life's work, locked behind steel doors and digital encryption. You feel safe because the numbers on the screen never go down. In fact, they tick up by a few cents every month. But what if I told you the vault has a silent, invisible leak that is draining the actual value of those numbers? While you sleep, the purchasing power of your hard-earned cash is evaporating into the atmosphere of the global economy. Most people believe that a savings account is a safe haven, but in reality, it is a slow-motion robbery. The bank is not a storage unit for your wealth. It is a business that uses your capital to build their own fortune. They pay you a fraction of a percent in interest, while the cost of living climbs by 5, 7, or 10%. Your safe strategy is actually the most certain way to ensure you stay financially stagnant for decades. This isn't an accident. It is the fundamental design of a debt-based monetary system that punishes savers. In the next 20 minutes, we are going to look under the hood of the banking system and expose the inflation tax. We will dismantle the myth of the emergency fund as a wealth builder and show you what it actually is. By the end of this masterclass, you will see your bank balance not as a trophy, but as a melting ice cube. Welcome to the Hive, where we trade comfortable lies for the brutal, tactical truth of financial realism. To understand why you are losing money, you must understand the difference between price and value. The price of a loaf of bread might stay the same for a while, but the size of the loaf gets smaller. This is shrinkflation. When the central banks print more currency, the total supply of money increases, making every dollar you hold less rare. Money is like a collectible. The more there is of it, the less each individual piece is worth to the market. Your savings account interest is a tiny umbrella trying to stop a torrential downpour of rising costs. If your bank pays you 1% interest but inflation is at 5%, you are effectively losing 4% of your wealth every year. Over 10 years, that safe pile of cash loses a massive chunk of what it can actually buy in the real world. The bank takes your saved money and lends it out for mortgages and car loans at 7% or 8% interest. They are profiting from the spread while you are left holding the bag of a depreciating currency. Storing all your wealth in a savings account is like trying to keep water in a wicker basket. To see the big picture, let's look at two brothers, Ben and Julian, who both saved $50,000 in 2020. Ben followed the safe path. He put his $50,000 into a high-yield savings account and touched nothing. Julian followed the investing assets path. He kept only a small emergency fund and put the rest into productive assets. 5 years later, Ben looks at his bank app and sees $51,500. He feels proud because the number went up. But when Ben goes to buy the same car he wanted in 2020, the price has jumped from $50,000 to $65,000. Ben's savings can no longer buy the very thing he was saving for. He is technically poorer than when he started. Meanwhile, Julian's assets, stocks, real estate, and gold have climbed alongside the rising cost of goods. Julian's $50,000 has grown to $80,000 because his wealth was tied to things that are inflation-resistant. Ben was saving currency, which the government can print. Julian was saving value, which is finite. The brutal truth is that Ben's discipline was weaponized against him by a system that devalues cash. If this story is opening your eyes, do follow by subscribing to the Honey Hive. Smash the like button right now to tell the algorithm that financial realism matters. Banks spend billions on advertising to make savings sound like the ultimate goal of a responsible adult. They want your deposits because your cash is the fuel they use to create high-interest loans for others. The banking system relies on a liquidity trap, where you provide the capital, and they take the lion's share of the profit. They give you a fancy app and a debit card to keep you distracted while they leverage your money. Inflation is the hidden tax that allows governments to pay off their massive debts with cheaper future dollars. If you are a saver, you are the one paying for that debt through the loss of your purchasing power. This is why the wealthiest 1% hold very little of their net worth in actual cash. They hold land, they hold businesses, and they hold intellectual property, things that cannot be printed away. The savings trap is designed to keep the middle class working forever to chase a moving finish line. To overcome this, you must shift your mindset from a saver to an allocator. Stop viewing your bank account as a destination and start viewing it as a transit station. Money should only sit in a bank long enough to be moved into a value-producing asset. You must maintain an emergency fund for survival, but anything beyond that is a liability, not an asset. Look for hard assets that have a limited supply or provide a service that people will always need. Invest in your own human capital skills that allow you to increase your income faster than inflation can rise. Diversify into different jurisdictions and asset classes to ensure no single policy can wipe you out. This is the parallel track of the Hive, using the system's currency to buy the system's exits. When you stop saving currency and start accumulating value, the world looks completely different. You no longer fear the news of rising prices because your assets are the ones rising in price. You move from being a victim of the economy to being a beneficiary of its growth. True financial peace isn't a high number in a bank app. It is the ownership of things that the world finds valuable. The silent leak stops bothering you because you've built a fortress that inflation cannot penetrate. You are no longer trading your life for melting ice cubes. You are building a legacy of indestructible wealth. The choice is yours. Stay in the vault and watch it drain, or step out and build your own hive. If you're ready to stop losing and start building, subscribe to the channel and join our community of architects. Own your value, or the system will own you. I'll see you in the next one.